Hello, everyone. I believe we are live. I'm going to confirm that in just a second. And I believe I believe we're live on Facebook right now. So, hello, and welcome to Meet the Storytellers. I have just released a record today called The Last American. It is streaming everywhere on Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, Google Play, Deezer, I think is a thing, Bandcamp. Check it out. Listen to it. We're going to listen to parts of it here today and kind of hang out with some of the people who helped me make it. And I'm thrilled to introduce them all to you. So to get started, I'm just going to play a tune from the record. It's the first track off the record. It's called Rebel Song. It's kind of self-explanatory in terms of what it's about for me, but we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. So here you go. Track number 1 off of The Last American. This is Rebel Song. Think I'll be lost always. How much time we waste? How much time we waste? How much time we waste? How much time we waste when we're looking for a sign? How much time we waste? If I could just be lost always. Okay, sorry about the audio glitch there. That was entirely user error. But we've solved that problem. But that was Rebel Song off of The Last American. It's streaming everywhere now. Someone's telling me that the live canceled out, but it looks like it's still going. So we're going to keep going. The first person I'm going to bring in to talk with is E.W. Harris. He was my producer on this record. He is a mentor and a friend, and I miss the year and a half that we spent in a studio kind of putting this thing together, because they were kind of incredibly joyous times, and so I'm happy that I can at least celebrate this with him today. So without further ado, this is E.W. Harris.
What up?
How's it going, man?
Not too bad.
It's good to see you.
Yeah, you too. It's nice to be broadcasting live here from a completely invented cave.
Yes. A cave that's very familiar to me, by the
way. Yeah, there's slightly different lighting. Now, there we go. Or we can dial up the cave. Infinity Cave.
Yeah. So first things first is I just wanted to thank you for all of the effort and hard work and kind of personal brilliance that you put into this project with me. So thank you for all of that.
You're welcome, man. It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure to work on the project.
Do you want to talk a little bit about what it is to be a producer? What the kind of production process was like for us?
Well, I thought production sucked. I didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
I did a series. I produced a series, sort of like alt folk records for a lot of people in the big city folk community, from like 2010 to like 2014, and I was like, I'm done with this, and I'm not doing it anymore because it's really annoying, and everybody writes the same song over and over again. But Ali, you kept being like, yo, I want you to do this. And I was like...
I did. I sort of badgered you and backed you into a corner about this.
Well, I mean, it was like one of those things. Like, I was like, okay, I'm interested. But, like, I've been going down an experimental rabbit hole for the last few years. And I was just sort of like, you know what I do, right? And I was just talking to somebody about this the other day, having a kind of production jargon conversation with someone the other day, and it got into I'm like kind of a one-trick pony I mean, they're weird. It's a weird trick and it's complicated, but I was intrigued that you started with a very sort of high-level concept to begin with. And then rather than, I do think I like plenty of collections of songs as albums, but I think that the album in many ways, like people talk about, the novel is not the same sort of artistic expression that it once was, and I think that you were coming into this with the idea that this is a coherent piece of work, and that I didn't know what that was going to turn out to be, but I was intrigued that was the whole thing. It's not like this is my best 10 songs between this period and this period. It's like I specifically included all of these things, and in many cases wrote lots of stuff to this concept, and I think that was very interesting to me and took the job.
Well, yeah, I'm glad you did, because I don't think this project would have worked without you. I mean, you kind of been around for a fair part of my musical journey, and you kind of know that I've been writing these things, but I haven't been doing a lot of kind of public work. I mean, this is my kind of first project under my own name, right?
Yeah.
And so one of the things that I was really excited about was just kind of being able to build an aesthetic. And obviously I had ideas about what I wanted that to be, but you have such a range of input in your own work, and I wanted to lean on that so that I could build a sound that kind of felt unique to me, and I hope that we did that, and I hope that you're kind of proud of that.
I mean, I think so, but I think the both of us are a bit too close to be the judges of things like that.
That's fair.
As awesome as it would be to be able to be like, do you know what? I'm going to talk to you for about 83 minutes, give or take, about what this, what all these different choices
Yeah.
were and how they directly reflect onto like the hesitating, kind of like sentence structure in this particular moment. I mean, we could say that was all. We definitely went through that process in building it, but we can say that it was all 100% effective, and we can sort of believe it. But it's kind of up to other people to be the judge.
That's true, and we are finding out as we speak. So,
Yeah.
rather than talking all night, I do want to give you a chance to play some music. Your music is one of the most influential things in my life, and you've got a lot going on. So, why don't you play something and then kind of tell us what's going on?
Right on. Well, I'll start out with like a song, just like guitars
Cool.
and that. We'll depart into the.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to like take us on a little ride for a little while, I
Yeah,
think we're okay for that.
Yeah, let's do that.
Awesome. This is E.W. Harris.
You were a spark. I was a half a can of gasoline. So that we could make a bright light. But the vapor's coming off of me. The violence in the heat of this kind of love must be dangerous. Must be dangerous. Must be dangerous. Am I dangerous? We were just a mirror hanging in a man-made cave. Obliterating shadow, intensifying light waves. I'd never dreamed someday we'd become a green death ray. Must be dangerous. Must be dangerous. Must be dangerous. Am I dangerous? There's many strands that twist the rope, many coins that pay the rent, many hands that hold the weight, many minds forgive them. Take someone to write the book, someone to read it, someone to speak it out, someone to believe it, someone to take the blow, someone to deal it, someone to lie you, someone to feel it. We're vulnerable, we're all alone. Vulnerable, all alone. Vulnerable, we're all alone. Vulnerable, together we're dangerous. Together we're dangerous. Together we're dangerous. Am I dangerous? Well, thank you very much. That this little pedal thing here at the end was courtesy of Craig Kears. The 70s sci-fi sound.
It's pretty cool, man. And you
Yeah,
sound
right?
great. You sound absolutely great.
Oh, thanks, man. Um, yeah,
You wanna keep going? You wanna give us a little more taste?
sure. Yeah. I think I'm going to do one with robots this time.
I'm excited.
So let's tee it up a little bit.
What do you think of it? To do that in 2 minutes, eternity in an hour. It's impossible, of course, as all the patients say, to describe it. You can only say it isn't, it isn't, it isn't. Trying to tell people what it is. Well, of course, I don't know any of our friends, Sid, that have taken it, but haven't said this one thing in common. Well, I never knew anything like that in the whole of my life. And one or two people have said to me, and said it to
You're going to there's no degrees.
Got a hole in my wall, fill it in with pizza boxes, speed and alcohol. Learn the word translucent to describe the way I'm feeling, covering my unintended window. I'm part now of a whole, 'cause all the better parts of me take something when they go. Only my ambitions even thought to leave a note. Said I've gone for smokes, but seeing you around the road. With a hole in my wall, couldn't dream without a hole in my head. Couldn't breathe without a hole in my lungs. Couldn't be without a hole. Got a hole in my head. Believe that if I shut it up, I'd probably be dead. COD, allegedly, pressures from, hemorrhage from, bleeding from the big idea I stole. With a hole in my wall, fill it in with pizza boxes, speed and alcohol. Learn the word translucent to describe the way I'm feeling, covering my unintended window. Got a hole in my lung. It fills my empty cavities with smoke and oxygen. I sweat it out. What remains is empty. Come, at least I still remember feeling home. With a hole in my wall. Couldn't dream without a hole in my head. Couldn't breathe without a hole in my lungs. Couldn't breathe without a hole. Got a hole in my wall. Fill it in. Couldn't dream without the sweet and alcohol. I couldn't breathe without the leak in my lung, covering the big ideas. With a hole in my wall, I couldn't dream without a hole in my head. I couldn't breathe without a hole in my lung. Couldn't breathe without a hole. Hole in my head. 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 Hole in my head.
Spectacular.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I know we don't get live reactions anymore, right? We do these live streams, and it's all just we look for the
Well, the way I
clapping
understand
on
it,
the-
the way I understand it is that you get there's like a little picture of fire that sometimes people put on their feedback channel or whatever.
But that's the best you can do is fire, right?
I
It's
think
pretty
so.
binary. You either were crap or you were fire.
Yeah, I just wonder when, either. Well, I don't want to go into too many post-apocalyptic scenarios, but will there be people who have like those little kids books, the fluffy little kids books?
Oh, sure.
They're like made of fabric, and they have different emojis like sewed onto a T-shirt. And you just peel back one, like to reveal fire, or like hands in the air, or like the poop one. Will that?
Because we'll have forgotten how to communicate normally. We only have these sort of flags that we throw up to let people know what's going on. Maybe. I mean, how are we gonna know? We'll just have to wait and see. I guess you would know. You are from the future.
Well, that's debatable.
Okay, I'm going to bring in Dan Salpa, who played guitar on this record. But before I do that, I'm going to play another song off of The Last American. And then EW will kind of be back a little bit later to tell us about some of the things that he's got cooking. Because he's always working on something that's exciting. He's got a lot of live streams going on, and we'll give him a chance a little bit later to talk about it. Does that sound good?
Sounds good to me.
All right. So I'm going to play a tune called Photocopy, which was the second single off of this record. I know a lot of you have heard it. Let's listen to the new Colossus. There's a lot of interesting sounds that Dan got to make on this one too. So let's start there. awoke to find my voice gone. I cried out and choked for the air escaping my lungs, till the grain that signals the light, or the panic it starts to subside. The bitter taste and the unsteady pace will just be your comfort tonight. You can't tell that anything's changed, but the air tastes wrong. There's a chill on the breeze that begins to cut through your guard, and you feel yourself starting to bend, and complacency smiles like a friend. But hope draws a breath in the dark to test your resolve. But what can you do when the word that you're given was all that you had and broke to begin with? I'll fight for you, love. I'll fight for you, love. I'll fight for you, love. 'Cause you stood for mine and had more on the line, and I'll be damned. There's a girl standing tall on a hill with a fist in the air. She won't give up any more ground, the line's drawn there. Did you forget what freedom was for? Is there light still on this golden door? Steel yourself, friends, because this doesn't end with my hands still waiting for yours. But what can you do when the word that you're given was all that you had and broke to begin with? I'll fight for you, love. I'll fight for you, love. I'll fight for you, love. Because you stood for mine and had more on the line, and I'll be damned. Okay, so that song is called "The New Colossus," and it was written about 4 years ago, just after Donald Trump was elected president, and he had announced his Muslim ban, or the ban from 7 countries, which was widely reported in the news as the Muslim ban. And there was a lot of uncertainty going around at the time for people like me, for a lot of people, immigrants in general, about what that would mean, and there's sort of fear and doubt, and people kind of talking about, oh, we need to leave the country, or where are we going to go? What are we going to do? And I remember kind of being in that moment and being in that uncertainty and kind of not having a whole lot of clarity about what the next moment was going to be about, and then being inundated with kind of text messages from people saying things like, we're going to see you at the rally, or we're going to fight this, or you're going to be okay because we're going to make sure that you're going to be okay. And one of those people who texted me is this next person. That's Dan Salpa. He's my great friend, and he played guitar on this record, and I'm very grateful to him for a lot of reasons. But introducing to you, Dan Salpa. Hey, Dan, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Great.
Cool. Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Thank you for joining me, and thank you for kind of playing guitar on this record, which you do a lot of. How have you been? How's life treating you?
Pretty good. I mean, I think anyone who right now is like, I'm thriving, living my best life, is maybe not being entirely honest with themselves. But given the world, things are actually pretty nice. It's one of the upsides is I was really busy playing a lot and teaching a lot, before all this. And it's been nice to have some time to kind of like go inward and like, I've had so much like input of information with learning music, like for you and for a lot of other artists who I've played with, and then like leading my own projects, that it's been really nice to have time to just like pump the brakes and like kind of focus on teaching and like sleeping enough and like having room to ruminate, which I think is really important as people and as like people who are creating. That New York and our culture at large doesn't really value that much. So I've been really enjoying that space, while also really chomping at the bit to get back playing gigs again,
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, I think about that a lot, right? Like we just released a record, and I mean, you were there from the inception of this thing. And the plan was always to kind of, have a big celebratory show, because that's how you release records, right? That's a big part of it. And it's sort of weird for me to not be able to do that in this moment. But you're a professional musician. You thrive on being able to perform in front of people, not just your own music, but not just my music rather, but also your own music, and kind of as a player for a lot of other great artists in the city. So how have you kind of adjusted, or kind of what's your avenue right now of kind of being a functioning musician right now?
I think there's all the like personal pursuits, like I'm practicing a lot more, which is really nice, and having time and space to practice things that I wouldn't otherwise, like I'm playing through a lot of like Bach and like lute music and like all these like personal curiosities to grow myself as an artist. But like in terms of what I'm like doing, with other people, I'm like teaching a lot, which is really awesome. I really enjoy teaching. Like playing is my first love, but like teaching is becoming like a close second. I'm really enjoying it. So I've been like growing my private studio over this, and I work at an art center in Connecticut and at a music school in Queens, all from the comfort of my own home now. My commute's awesome. And it's been fun taking on more private students. And I've also been doing more like remote session work from home, which has been cool to still be collaborating with people creating new music, even though I'm not physically with people that much anymore,
So absolutely, yeah. I mean, that's a lot to have on your plate all at once, but I'm glad that you're able to do that. A lot of people kind of already know this, but I'm in the scale of things, a neophyte when it comes to being able to play guitar. And Dan Salpa is the person who sort of taught me how to play guitar. Everything I know because of Dan Salpa. So if somebody wanted to take lessons from you, how would they do that?
I've had people contact me through social media. I'm very active on that, just at Dan Salpa, SAULPAUGH. It's way too many letters. Or my email, dansalpamusic@gmail.com. That's mostly how I'm being contacted by people right now.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, so Dan is my friend for a lot of reasons, but the reason that we met is music. I was at an open mic and I heard Dan play, and it's gorgeous, and I want you to hear some of his original music. So Dan, why don't you entertain us a little bit?
All right, thank you. Yeah, I met a few of you guys at that same place. Yeah. shame was far the ways I couldn't run my tongue across your name. I read this book, it's where I learned, man, to live hungry and alone. I've been hungry, I've been tired, I've been thirsty, I've been nervous, I've been stoned. Heard the veil tear in the other room. I've been a priest, I've been a threat, I've been a martyr, I've been nervous as a room. Bending down to kiss the lips I love. I've been condemned, I've been saved, I've fallen far, I've been burned and I've been snubbed. Mornings tapping lightly at my door. I'm not dressed, I'm not showered. I need coffee and a couple hours more. Sure, she's just here to get the rent, but I've not been paid, I'm working late. Lord, I haven't got a second or a cent. But there were days when all I had was faith. The setting sun, the subway screaming. I was young and broken, couldn't look away. Now I'm sleeping soundly in my bed. There's no voice crying out my name. No one's trying to raise me from the dead. The morning's happening lightly at my door. I'm not dressed, I'm not showered. I need coffee and a couple hours more. Sure, she's just here to get the rent, but I've not been paid, I'm working late. Lord, I haven't got a second or a cent. I haven't got a second or a cent. I haven't got a second or a cent.
Thank you. That's awesome.
Thanks.
You want to tell us a little about that song?
Yeah, sure. It was kind of shortly before quarantine started, and a friend of mine, Joe Boover, who's an actor and musician, was having these, I think, monthly writers groups. I only went to a few of them at his apartment in Harlem, and yeah, I was available for a couple of them, and I decided I'd, bring a new song. I have such a hard time writing if I don't have a deadline, and this was like the perfect excuse to just have like an arbitrary deadline to sit down and write something, and so of course I procrastinate like crazy, which is when I write best. So I'm sitting on the subway man, I'm gonna look like an idiot if I get to this thing and I don't have anything written for it, and I'm I'd worked out some chords earlier and I was kind of scribbling in my notebook, and then I got there, and I've made a couple tweaks since then. But yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
You want to give us another song?
Sure. Definitely. Yeah, I'm going to play a slightly older one, I think. I like this one. It's a tune called Fingertips.
That's one of my favorites, actually. And you already know that.
Yeah, that's why I picked it. Through my window, crawls up into my bed, and fills up the space where you should have been. I slept too late to see you go. The door slam was my alarm. My ears are ringing, I taste cigarettes in the darkness of our room. But last night the world was a word spoken softly from your lips. And when it stopped, the world didn't burn or freeze, but fell slowly from your fingertips. Well, I've never woken in another's bed. That's not to say I don't know one. I'm just glad you can't see my heart or the lovers in my head. Last night the world was a word spoken softly from your lips. And when it stopped, the world didn't burn or freeze, but fell slowly from your fingertips.
Dan Salpaugh performing Fingertips from his first EP, Before the Fire Is Gone.
Yes. Which you designed the album art for.
I did design the album art for that, and I'm very proud of that. But that's a beautiful song. It's my favorite song on that EP, and one of my favorite songs of yours. That's beautiful. You obviously have a broad history of playing a lot of different types of guitar for a lot of different types of people. Do you want to talk a little bit about your guitar work on The Last American?
Yeah, definitely. It was a really fun session because, like, on a personal level, I know you, and I've talked to you more than like any other artist who I've recorded with. So it was fun, like, you know, sometimes you go in and like you have all this musical knowledge and you have all this like history and playing ability, and you know, you understand what a genre needs and what songs ask for and all this, you know, and you go in and you work that out, and you come out with something that sounds really great. But it was kind of fun having this added like deeper psychological understanding of where the music was coming from, just knowing you so well. So like when I was thinking about what some of my like references were going to be that I was thinking about sonically, you know, I could refer back to conversations that we've had, you know, just as friends, not about the record. And so like, that was really fun for me to be like, okay, you know, I do all these things, you know, you and I have these, some say like shared musical loves. Like we both really like the Edge as a guitar player, you know? And I think we in some ways like him for different reasons, you know, and it was fun getting to like, you know, there's underneath this, there's a real like punk ethos about your record and your songwriting. You know, and like I picked up the guitar, you know, when like Green Day's Dookie was like still, you know, on the radio and like that, you know, those like kind of sounds were like early sounds for me. And then I started playing in like hardcore screamo metal bands in middle school. And, you know, it was fun getting to dive into that. Like on the last track we listened to, the new Colossus, there's these like big screaming guitars.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was kind of important to me. Yeah, like what I wanted to do with the guitars, and EW and I talked a lot about this, is that like we wanted to have an opportunity to have kind of big heroic moments on guitar, which aren't exactly en vogue in contemporary pop music these days. But to me, it's such a kind of like nostalgic and kind of sort of obvious signifier of what so much of like American culture is in its stature, or it's sort of, you know, forward-facing aggression. So that was really something I wanted to be able to do, and I think you did that beautifully, and I hope that we did it in places where it feels like we earned it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I think one thing that's cool is that, like, I think both of us, you know, all the decisions we made musically in making this was really to serve the song. You know, when you hear songwriters talk about like musical things serving the song, usually it's a way of being like, turn the guitar down. You know, like is usually the underlying message. So it's really great to be like, no, like, you know, screaming electric guitar can be like a very emotive thing if you just use it as one tool among many, you know. And I think EW's mixing and production really did a good job of being like, here's all this beautiful, quiet guitar synth stuff. Oh, also here's some screaming 80s rock guitar, you know, at the moments that it would really be impactful. So it was fun to get to do that.
It was, I think, I'm sure he can attest to this. Like we sort of threw all these things at him. I said, put all this in the soup, and you know, you cook with it and you figure this out. And so I'm eternally grateful for him, certainly.
Yeah.
So
I know for me, as a guitarist, like speaking about UW, it was really cool. Like, you know, I tracked a lot of guitar in these sessions, you know, and it was very rapid fire, lots of ideas. And so it was awesome. Like my first listen back to the record being like, what did EW do with that in mixing?
We cut a lot out. That's what we did.
I know. But it was really cool being like, oh man, I get to go and learn these guitar parts that, like, yes, I played, but also that you and EW then went and kind of also composed, like in post. So I thought the dialogue was like really interesting there, and that was fun for me as a player.
Awesome. So Dan, thank you for joining us. Before you step away, is there anything else that you want to make sure that we know about, that we can kind of cue people up to look out for?
You know, I'm writing a lot, you know, and I have things that are longer term. But yeah, I mean, you know, if anyone wants guitar lessons or session work done, like, hit me up. And otherwise, I mean, just thanks for having me on. This is really fun.
Thank you. So Dan's Instagram is Dan Salpa. You can slide into his DMs there. Or they can email you at dansalpa@gmail.com.
Yeah, dansalpamusic@gmail.com.
dansalpamusic@gmail.com. Okay, great. Thank you, Dan. Thank you for joining us. We're doing this sort of, you know, strange kind of behind the scenes conversation because I wanted to celebrate my record, and I didn't want to just put on a show for all of you. I will do that, and you know, we did a live stream last night, and that was really fun. But celebrating means kind of enjoying it with the people who helped you make it happen, and so that's why we're doing this. And the people who are on this record are on this record because they're kind of beautiful musicians in their own right, who I kind of fell in love with the things that they do, and they were kind of generous enough to lend their talents to my project. So the next thing that we're going to do is shift gears a little bit and listen to a song called The Little Picture off of The Last American. And here it is. You can count up the years with the things that I've tried to make a life better, one step at a time. And the things that would stick were never that big, but it's the small ones that matter in the scheme of things. Yeah, it's the small ones that matter. And I've ached for a love that was never as grand as that little picture you hold in your hand, the kind where you could give up all of your glory just to be a verse in an unwritten story, all just to be a verse. And every father says, look at my baby now, and I would do it all again. I could have one more round. But that's not the way that it always goes. There are dark rooms and quiet days and unspoken hopes when you tell yourself to look at the big picture, but your hope is a small one. You're lost in a whisper, or your hope is a small one. And after years down a road that you can't regret, still there are days that you want reset. You think one thread cut could change how it all unfolds, but there's 1,000 threads in the hangman's rope. Oh, there's 1,000 threads, and every father says it could be different now. And I remember when he said it, I would believe him now. Okay. So that was a song that I wrote called The Little Picture. It's about a lot of things, but it's about a little bit about the kind of generational grief that people have. It's a little bit about parenthood. It's a little bit about just getting older and getting to those phases in your life where the people around you are having children. But for our next guest, the reason I wanted to play that song is because it features the voice of Ruby Landon, who is kind of a brilliant songwriter, who, you know, she just has this voice that is will kind of startle you into silence, and so. Coming on right now to hang out with us is Ruby Landon. Hey, Ruby.
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm doing great.
What's
Pocket's
going
great.
on in your life? Yeah, you've got a couple of cats over there. What are their names?
This is Pocket. Cat's potting. He's in the living room.
Pocket and Cat.
Yeah.
So how's your life been treating you? I actually think the last time we saw each other was the recording session for that song.
Yeah, it might have been.
What's happened since then? Yeah.
Yeah.
So how are you? Where are you? What's going on?
I am still in Brooklyn. I moved apartments, which is very cool. I live still like a block away from basically where I lived before, but I live with one of my really good friends, which is a lot better than my situation before.
That's good.
Also not hard to beat that situation. So,
Sure.
yeah, I don't know. I've been working in a wine store, which is pretty shitty.
Are there no freebies in that situation?
There are, so that's like the only part that's kind of cool. But customer service during a pandemic.
Yeah, it's probably not the best situation, especially with something that people consider to be essential.
Right. Also, like, customer service in general is the worst thing ever, but like, it just makes it, yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. But yeah, that's been my thing.
So I just wanted to thank you for kind of lending your voice to that song. I know I kind of threw it at you at the last minute. And I said, you know, I really want your voice on this song. I sent it to you, and you were kind of like, how is this supposed to work? And, and you just came into the studio, and we figured it out. And I think it really makes the song. I'm really thrilled that I got to have your voice on it. So thank you for that.
Yeah, it sounds great. The whole album sounds fucking sick, Ollie.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, look, you guys all worked very, very hard, and you gave me your best, and I'm grateful. I am so immensely grateful for that.
Well, definitely worked out. You guys did a really great job.
Thank you. So you want to play some songs? I know you've got a lot going on, but why don't we start with some music?
Oh yeah, definitely. I don't have any of the schmancy setup that you guys.
Oh no,
do.
I'm sure it's gonna sound great.
Well, hopefully. I do have a pretty old MacBook, so I don't know.
You're coming through pretty clear right now, so.
Let me just turn if I can find my. Oh, found him. Sorry, fuck. Actually, I think the last time we saw each other was at the Scratcher, probably.
Oh, that's probably true. Yeah, one of the last sessions there.
Yeah, one of my last shows.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm also kind of. I mean, I'm done with an album, but I have no idea when it's going to come out. So
we'll talk about that in a minute. Let's just hear some music.
Great. Oh wait. Who knew you could lose so many things just on your bed? On it.
Ruby Linden, everybody.
Broken balls to decorate my bed. When I let you sing like little Bradley shed. Build me out of sticks and concrete. 'Cause I can't find a home in this world. If I was better made, would I know my own name? Whispers wander further than my voice would ever go. Echoes in a sailboat, the tide comes in too slow. Don't confuse the quiet with the sound of defeat. Just can't find a home in the words I speak. I was better made, would I know my own name? I look like my mother, we hear drawn at the same lines. Burden that is hers, I see becoming mine. Afraid to be my father, I'm afraid to let him win. To begin, I should have been. Come and take from me things that I like. Tired of this fate that never gets by. I was better made, would I know my name. If I was better made, would I know my
That was gorgeous.
How's the
Absolutely
audio?
gorgeous. I think it sounds great. I think people online seem to think it sounds pretty good too. You guys want to chime in? Yeah, you sounded great.
Cool.
You sounded absolutely great. So, you want to tell us a little bit about that song?
So that song's called "I Look Like My Mother." It's one of the first, I guess, like that I actually wrote intentionally for this album that I've been working on.
Does this new album have a name yet, or are you
I'm not
not
sure.
revealing it yet?
Nobody knows anything about the new album yet.
Okay, it's out there. You're working on it. It
Yeah.
exists. Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of like, so what's happening is I just kind of wrote, it's within the last like year that I wrote this like collection of songs. And it's all like very reflective of like, this is gonna sound like a really weird, like literature piece of shit, pretentious motherfucker, but it's kind of like, it's not intentional. Like my actual writing is not like, I'm not trying to do anything by it, but it's like kind of, I really always loved songwriting that like floats between like temporal and spatial things. Like it's not just like one single.
Yeah,
It's
it
not a
takes
straight
advantage
up-
of the whole medium, right? Like there's
Yeah.
something ephemeral about it.
Yeah, it's not like a straight up metaphor. It's not like fucking Madame Flaubert, that fucking, you know, it's not like whirly twirly French literature, but it's because I obviously
Somewhere
don't
between.
like that.
Somewhere between.
But it's like, I really appreciate writing that like takes a metaphor and then we'll just like completely turn it around. And so, because I just find that that's kind of the way my brain works, at least, is like, it's never, I don't know, everything negates everything. So like,
Well, I mean, just from like a thematic point of view, I Look Like My Mother sounds like one of those sort of generational kind of tunes, right? Like it's a reflection on who you are and where you come from and why you are, sort of thing.
yeah, I think that there is like a huge aspect of that. I think there's a really, really common theme in what I've been writing, kind of always, but especially like more acutely. The stuff I've been writing lately is, it's really reflective on, yeah, I guess like my relationships and who that's made me, especially as like a woman.
Sure.
While using like, because I think what's kind of made it fun is there'll be, it's like deja vu, but in reverse, where, and I feel like I've used this a lot in songwriting because I think it's so cool, just like that.
We all have our tricks, you know. It's fine. It's fine to have a
It's just like, it's a fun
catalog.
thing. I don't know if this happens to you, but like I've had like, so I had this like pretty rough breakup, and that reminded me, like that feeling reminded me of this time that I was a kid, like 10 years old or something. I learned to ride a bike very, very late.
Sure.
So I was like riding down a hill and I fucking smashed my face open basically.
Right.
And it was that whole feeling of like, wow, I didn't need to do that. Like
So
it was like
is it
exhilarating, and
the,
then the outcome was like so much more horrendous than any of the like, it wasn't worth it, you know?
is it the visceral pain, like the actual feeling of physical pain that was reminded of,
It's
or was it
mainly
like
the like embarrassment.
the
like, the
embarrassment of
thing.
it? Yeah.
So that
I
has nothing to
understand.
do with this song, but that's kind of an example. So I think like, I don't know, I look like my mother. It's like, that's obviously a line from the song, but it's kind of just like the whole like refrain is, if I was better made, would I know my name? And there's just like a obviously giant identity question in that. And it's kind of like you know, going from what we know, which is our mom and our dad and how we were raised and whatever, even if like I'm 26 now and like obviously haven't lived at home in over a decade. So like, I think that like the collection of songs that I've been writing really recently have focused on kind of like past trauma, but also like in a weird kind of deja vu kind of way. Because it's like it relates a lot of like current instances, especially like relating to this most recent breakup, kind of basculates between recent breakup and how my dad's shitty. So
well, look that, I mean, that speaks a lot to me, right? Because I've got this record, The Last American, which is all about kind of identity and kind of grappling with who you are and why you are. And sort of what are the symbols that you kind of glom onto, and what do they mean to you, right? So I in spite of the grief and the pain of bad breakup, I'm excited to hear that music. Where can people find your music if they wanted to find it? I've got your Instagram up right now. Is that the best way to kind of get a hold of you or find you?
Yeah, Instagram's good. I mean, my music is on Spotify. My EP that I did a year ago or so is on Spotify.
There's a few Ruby Landons out there. So which EP should they be looking for?
What's it called? Meditation Sounds.
Meditation Sounds.
It's also a bullshit title, so don't worry.
It's a beautiful record, and you should definitely check it out. Do you want to play us another tune?
Yeah, sure. I'll get out my little baby guitar.
Cool.
There we go. This is like kind of, this guitar's fun, but also
is that like a parlor style guitar, or is it like a concert kind of thing, or just like small guitars?
What'd you say?
Is that like a parlor guitar, or is it just
it's a parlor guitar.
Yeah.
It's a parlor guitar from like the 20s. It's Wayman. I don't know. It's a Philadelphia thing.
I don't know that much about it, but it's.
I mean, this thing. Nobody has heard of this company. So.
We all? I think most of us know Warren Malone. He says, and I love this, is that the best guitar is the one that you think sounds good. So.
I mean, that would be my Gibson that I always play. This one's pretty great. I take this on trips and stuff.
Cool. So what are you about to play for us? Do you want to tell us a little about?
I'm gonna play. I'm pretty sure it's called Self Help. It's supposed to be the last track on this thing that might be released at some point, but who the fuck knows? This is like the epitome of sad sack. Like.
I think we all
feeling bad for yourself. And
we all love those songs. We need them. So.
I mean, it's pretty relatable, I guess.
Especially these days.
Yeah, these days. I think it's called Self Help.
Cool. Self Help by Ruby Landon.
It's not it.
I'm not the woman my dad wanted me to be. Thought I was special for listening to jazz and not watching TV. I'm not a poet, I can only replicate. And I'm not your friend, I've just learned. I'll never read that self-help book she gave me. I won't hesitate to tell you exactly what you need. I'm not your daughter, won't look after you when you're old. But still take the guitars and save me as your skin goes cold. Despite that, baby, cool, was only 8. Summer flame burned by the setting sun. Didn't know how to play again. I should take up smoking, I'm obsessive enough. I take care of my health if I don't mind. They scared me with their stories. One drag and you're dead. So I pretended not to notice. No, I'm lighting up behind the shed. Every cigarette makes her hate herself a little bit. But I can go tonight without drinking, so I don't have a problem. Dance in your reflection and you did the same in mine. Made me in your image, but it's your version. I don't mind. I don't mind. You called me a martyr, well maybe you had a point. Held my hands out to you, but couldn't keep myself upright. Where's the satisfaction that comes with being better? I just hate that I loved you until I didn't matter.
Thank you so much, Ruby. That was absolutely beautiful. We can find you on Instagram. We know to look for Meditation Sounds. That's the EP that's out now. There's another record in the future.
Keep your eyes peeled.
We will keep our eyes peeled. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Ellie.
So much for kind of your contribution to this record. Again, it really kind of made that song for me, so I'm really proud to have you on it.
Thank you for inviting me and for all the things, and it really sounds amazing. I'm very proud of you and EW and everyone else on the record.
Well, thank you. We will talk to you soon. Have a good night. Next up, we are going to bring on Chris Q. Murphy, but before we do that, we're going to listen to another tune from The Last American. Chris played bass on a lot of tracks, which is a secret that he keeps, and now I've outed him to much of the big city folk community that Chris is actually a very skilled bassist. I find this interesting that he keeps this a secret, but when I started recording this record, that's a silly thing to say, when I started recording this album with EW, a lot of folks in our kind of music community were hearing snippets of it, and Chris sort of sidled his way onto the project. He insisted that we find a home for him, and I'm thrilled that we did because he delivered some beautiful bass lines for us. So I'm going to play a song called "The Wise Man and the Fool," which was the first single that we released almost 2 months ago now. But here it is, "The Wise Man and the Fool" off of The Last American.
You've broken your heart, you've made amends, collected pieces made whole again. And if waging wars makes you more of a man, you fought every losing fight that you can. But you're careful to fight what's left of your faith. You fear if you win, you've made a cross when your hope is a lie. And I know, what do you think it means? And I know what you want me to say. But how do you think I believe that it's all gonna be okay? How's it all gonna be okay? Well, a wise man offers this truth in the light and dares you to dig a bit deeper inside. The fool that I found was happy and whole, and he never passed the light of his soul. And now you swear that you've known so much more than you've seen, and your spirit is someone you've never been. But what can you do when your sin is your pride? Can you carry your cross when your hope is a lie? And I know, what do you think it means? And I know what you want me to say. But how do you think I believe that it's all gonna be okay? How's it all gonna be okay? Was it you that drew these lines in the sand? What do they tell you about the worth of a man? 'Cause I stumbled and found the grace that you named, and trampled lines that are washing the waves. In the mire I fell, there I was made. In the mire I'll stay, content in my shame. 'Cause I know, what do you think it means? And I know what you want me to say. I don't care what you think you believe, because it's all gonna be okay. Yeah, it's all gonna be okay.
So that was Wise Man and the Fool from the record The Last American, which is out everywhere now. And so I'm bringing to you right this second is Chris Q. Murphy, who played bass on that song and many, many others. Chris, how you doing?
Hey, how you doing?
It's good to see your face and hear your voice.
It's good to see you too, dude. How you doing tonight?
It's a strange day. You know, we've got an album out, and there's no release show, but it's out and people are listening to it, and I've been getting really, really sweet messages from people all day. and that feels good. That feels really, really good.
Great,
and
dude.
we're here right now. We're celebrating the release, and I'm talking to you.
Indeed.
So how's your life?
You know, just going crazy here in South Brooklyn, doing what I can, getting through what I need to get through, and trying to make music and peace the best I can.
For those of you who don't know, Chris, when he's not a musician, is a public school teacher. And he teaches music, and he's great at it, but he does that for the New York City public school system.
Damn straight.
And he's very, very proud of it. You want to talk a little bit about that?
I am a product of the public school system. I did wind up at a private university for my undergraduate degree. But aside from that brief experience, I'm a product of a public school system. I am proud to work in the public school system. I think a free and comprehensive public education is the absolute cornerstone of democracy. And while I'm sure that we could sit around all day and debate what constitutes a quality education, and we have been debating it, we'll continue debating it for as long as I've been in the profession and long after I leave it, the fact that American children get to go to school X days a week for X hours a day without a damn cent getting charged to their parents other than the taxes they're already paying is the very hope that we can have an educated populace that can make choices in their community and in the voting booth going forward.
I'm not going to disagree with any word of that.
It's really how I feel in my heart of hearts.
Cool.
Both of my kids go to public school. My wife works in a public school. You know.
No, it's immensely important. I mean, I went to public school as well, for undergrad as well, public education. So what? I mean, look, you played bass on this record, and
yeah.
I kind of alluded to the way you found yourself into the project. I wouldn't have said no had you just asked, but you worked around me, and you worked around EW too. You sort of you hinted and intimated, and then all of a sudden it was like, hey, I really need a bassist. Is that something you do?
Well, I've been hearing these songs from early stages to somewhat fully developed, both at Song Club and then in the early stages of the making of the album. And I knew from the jump that it was going to be something really, really special. And I knew that it was something that I wanted to be a part of. It sounds a little selfish, but when something really magical is going on, you want to get yourself involved, right? It's like, that's the way we keep the world going. And I think at the time, I didn't feel like I could straight up ask you. And I didn't know if the EW straight up had the clearance to just hire me. So I did kind of dance around it a little bit and let both of you know that I was, available for said sessions. And
it was the strangest flirtation I've been a part of.
Well, it worked out for all of us, I'd like to think.
It's fantastic. It's fantastic. I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled that we got to have you be on and do that. And it was a great surprise because, like I said, you don't advertise that that's something that you do.
Well, when you play in New York City, sometimes you can get sidled with kind of sideman or side person syndrome. And for a very long time, I played in bands that were democratic, wherein I was just a contributing member as a writer or a player. I had played in my friend Jim Nable's project, the Randy Bandits, for 10 years, where I was sometimes the bass player, sometimes the guitar player. I had played in a number of folk groups where, again, it was a little more democratic in terms of song selection and roles in the band. And when I finally decided to step out on my own as a singer-songwriter, which honestly was not until after I was 30 years old, after I already had a whole bunch of songs written, I realized that if I didn't start telling people I was a singer-songwriter first, they were going to continue to hit me up to play bass on their gigs, to play guitar on their gigs, to play piano on their gigs, all of which I love doing. But I found it very difficult for a long time to be able to do both things. I just didn't have the time. So I picked focusing on my songwriting for a long time.
Well, then I consider myself very lucky because I met you first as a songwriter and not as a sideman, or not in anybody else's band. I met Chris, and Chris was I'm excited to introduce you to Chris tonight. I know some of you may have experienced him before at this kind of long-rumored event that I used to run called Dinner and a Show in the before times. But Chris is sort of a very dramatic, experimental musician, and he's experimental in ways that I think are a little atypical, and he doesn't always lean into it. But when he does, it's really something magical. He's a great songwriter. He's got a big voice, tremendous heart. And I would like for you to play us a tune.
I would love to play you a tune. And I have a couple of seasonal songs, and I like to kind of commemorate the passing of those seasons. Like when they're over, I play the song from the season that just ended. And today, as I stepped outside when the rain finally subsided, I had to put this hat on, and I had to like put a legit coat on.
Yeah,
and I was
like,
like,
feel the cold.
I was like, shit, that's it. Fall is over in New York. All fucking week and a half of it. Fall is over, and it's wintertime. So I will wish the fall, the autumn, a fond farewell with this song.
I'm guessing that this is Autumn in New York.
Chilly winds blowing like the breath of fresh air. The leaves are on the ground. And flannels like flowers popping up everywhere. Across this Brooklyn town. And autumn in New York is on the radio. Morning DJ tells me it's okay. Autumn in New York is on the radio. And it's then I know I'm headed for December's darkest day. They got that pumpkin spice in every drink, espresso and chai tea. And my barista needs to see her shrink, 'cause she's suffering from OCD. And autumn in New York is on the radio. And old Chet Baker tells me it's okay. When autumn in New York is on the radio, well, it's then I know I'm headed for December's darkest day. And I love December, the joy and mirth it brings. I love December, the songs the children sing. I love December and all its wintry charms. I love December when you're back here in my arms. My smile grows longer as the days grow short and we fade closer to black. 'Cause every summer you just kind of disappear, but in the winter you come back. And autumn in New York is on the radio. Autumn in New York is on WBGO. Autumn in New York. Thank you, Ollie.
It's a seasonal classic. Love it. So right now I've got your Chris Q. Murphy at Bandcamp page up, which is where you can find Chris's many records. Many records.
There's some of them, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm on one of them. A record I believe is called "I Have a Bum Pinky Now."
Yeah,
is
that
a
is my
record
most
that
recent release.
Yeah,
July 2019.
which I lent my voice to as a backup singer briefly. And just to give you an idea of how that was recorded, Chris set up a phone in the corner of a room, taught everybody the songs earlier that day, and we all kind of sang it live. And he hit record while his backing tracks were playing out of a boom box, and it was being then kind of recorded back on his phone. And he spent a little bit of time just kind of getting the room sound right, and then that was it. And this is kind of part of Chris's kind of experiments with live sound and kind of live and recorded atmospheres. It was really, really fun to be a part of. And so when you listen to it, you'll hear me missing my timing often, but it doesn't matter because that's part of the experiment.
It was. It absolutely was.
So that's Chris
about
Q.
having
Murphy.
your voice there. I mean, regardless of how well people did or didn't know the songs, I wanted your voice as part of that texture, which is why even when you said, "Oh man, I didn't really have a chance to go over the material," I was like, "Dude, that's not the point. Like, I want you singing on this album." And so you are.
And I was thrilled to do that. So this format obviously will look a little familiar to you, that we're doing right now. I'm calling this Meet the Storytellers. I'm thinking that this is going to start to become a little bit of a more regular thing. We won't have 5 or 6 guests every time. This is special for tonight, for the album release. But I think what I'm going to do is, since I can't be a host of a secret show anymore, maybe I can be the host of a public live show online and introduce some of my friends to some of my other friends. But the reason I bring that up is because you have a regular series that you do on Instagram, and your Instagram is Chris Q. Murphy. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, early during quarantine times, I realized I was doing very little creating. I was writing a little bit, but not much, and I certainly wasn't thinking about performing. I was having, my own version of all the feelings that we've been dealing with for all of that time. Mine mainly concerned with being cooped up in a house with my family, whom I love very much, but I have 2 young children, and they're fucking crazy. So at some point, I realized I needed a little bit of a release valve. I knew that some of my friends were starting to do live streams somewhat regularly. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to go out in my shed with my phone, and I'm going to have a go at this. And I did 1 or 2 weeks, and it felt good, and people seemed to enjoy it. And then I took a couple weeks off to get my head together, and I said, you know what? I'm just going to do this every Tuesday. And so I did. I started doing it every Tuesday night. It got a little loud for the shed, so I moved into a local coffee shop after hours, and I started doing it there. It's where I am tonight, as a matter of fact. And at some point in the summer, I said, at some point in this show, people are going to get tired of watching me play songs for an hour every Tuesday night. Wouldn't it be fun if I started inviting some friends on to start talking about their songs and share their songs, and maybe talk a little bit about songwriting, talk a little bit about what it's been like to be creative people and performers during a time when it's a lot harder to create things and perform them for other people. And I had one guest on, and I got like 11 texts / DMs right after saying that was the best live stream you've done so far. And I was like, bro, I could take a hint. So I booked somebody for the next week, and one of my dearest friends who had tuned in every week up to that point sent me like an honest to goodness critique of the ways that my talk show could be improved upon. And I was like, oh, so we're doing this now. And immediately I reached out to a bunch of people, yourself included, and made sure that I had guests lined up. And except for like a few weeks since the beginning of August, I've done a live stream every Tuesday at 9. I have had a singer-songwriter guest on every Tuesday at 9, except for 2, and I am currently booked to have singer-songwriter guests every Tuesday at 9, except Election Day, where I'm going to give everybody the day off. They're going to be on between now and the end of 2020.
Well,
if that
just
ever
to
happens.
let you know that I loved that experience. It was really fun for me, and so I want to say thank you for letting me do that.
Absolutely.
Why don't you give us another song?
Sure.
Just so Chris doesn't believe that we only like hearing him talk. We think he is a great musician, and we love listening to his music. Again, this is how I met him. Kind of him playing kind of bold and brazen, and sometimes very, very heartbreaking and beautiful songs.
Thank you. I'm going to do a heartbreaker then. I'm not going to do a big loud one, unless there's one you want to hear special. I'm really excited. Speaking of, before you talk about EW being a mutual friend and the producer of this album, at some point in EW's involvement in the album, he also met Kia over at Hanging Moon Records / Newtown Recorders. You wound up doing a bunch of tracking there.
I did. Yeah. There's a whole village of people that I still haven't had a chance to talk to.
Yeah, I mean, I went there. I didn't do any tracking there. I did all my bass work at mostly Harmless Audio in Bed-Stuy. But I went there once because Phil was doing drum tracks, and I was just like astounded at the vibe in the place.
Yeah.
And I said, at some point, I got to do something here. And sure enough, in a couple of weeks, I'm going to be spending an evening at Hanging Moon with EW and Kia, trying to get tracks together to put out a single, just like a solo songwriter thing.
That's very, very exciting. Yeah, I didn't realize that's what you had cooking. That's really wonderful. Well, I love that space. Hanging Moon Records is a very, very cool recording space in the far reaches of Bushwick.
Yeah, it's one of those places where you walk in and the magic is palpable. Like from the second you get. And it's funny, you talked about me as an experimental musician before, and I cop to that in one regard. My song structures and whatnot are fairly straightforward. I think I'm a pretty classic pop songwriter. But I do like to do things a little lo-fi. I do like to capture the moment and the vibe more than anything else, because I recognize that songs are permanent and performances of them are impermanent. And that's what makes them special. But to push my own self in, or I should say out of my comfort zone, I've decided that I'm going to make a legitimate, clean sounding singer-songwriter recording where there are several microphones set up and there's a tasteful touch of reverb, and there might be multiple takes of things as opposed to just one running fucking track on my iPhone. And the game plan is to take two of the songs that were kind of the staples of my live stream for the last several months and put them out as an A-side, B-side. And this right here is going to be the B-side.
Excellent.
Dear Mr. Tree, I don't like your song, but when you sing it, all the flowers sing along. And those flowers sure are pretty, while I think myself witty, they don't seem to listen to me. You got handsome charisma and dexterous limbs, but that's nothing but a gimmick, well disciplined. So I don't want to be you. Hell, I don't want to see you when you won't even listen to me. 'Cause it's not that I'm much better. In fact, I'm no better at all. Whenever I stand on your shoulders, I only end up feeling small. 'Cause it's not that I'm much better. In fact, I'm no better at all. It's just whenever I stand on your shoulders, I only end up feeling small. I only end up feeling small. So, Mr. Owl, I guess that you'll do, 'cause I could just settle and be like you, and it ain't gonna please me, but it'll be way more easy when nobody listens to me. Thank you, Ollie. Thank you.
Oh, it was beautiful,
Thanks.
Chris. Thank you so
you.
much. So Chris Q Murphy has an Instagram live stream every Tuesday except this coming Tuesday because it's election day.
You know, I'm still going to get on this Tuesday. I'm just not going to do it the regular guest thing. I'm just going to play some songs, keep it mellow.
Well, if it's Tuesday evening and you're looking for some comfort, tune into Chris Q Murphy's weekly stream at his Instagram, which is again Chris Q Murphy. Chris, thank you so much for joining me here tonight. Thank you for all the work that you did on this record, and thank you for just supporting my music the way you always have.
You are so welcome. Congratulations. This is definitely I've been saying since before it came out, it was my favorite record of the year, and today you made good on that promise. It is so incredible, Ali. I mean, I love all my friends' records, but this one holds a very special place in my heart. So much love and congratulations. Such good stuff.
Thank you very much. Have a good night, Chris.
You too, man.
Brian is in the comments saying, I hope we won't be needing comfort. I hope we won't be needing comfort either. I'm thinking about how much effort people have been putting into this coming election, and I'm hoping for good news, and I imagine that we'll need some relief no matter what the outcome is. But again, I'm hoping for good news. I'm gonna play one more song from the record before we bring E.W. Harris back on to close out the night. The reason I've been doing this is because I get to put my name on the cover of these songs, and I get to to own this album, and I'm very, very proud of it, and I'm proud of these songs, and I'm proud of what we've written. But none of it's possible if I don't have the support of all of these kind of beautiful, talented musicians. And I wanted a chance to kind of show all of you just how talented they really are. So I'm going to play one more song. It's called "This American Dream," which Chris kind of gave us a great segue for, thinking about the election. And then we'll get E.W. Harris back on, and we'll talk to him a little bit more and close out the night.
You rattle around these walls and always leave the door wide open. No one comes around, but you don't wanna give up hoping. used to be so bold, queen of every boyhood dream. You start to feel the cold, there's always someone willing to share the heat. You meet another face and take the path of least resistance. You're searching for some soul and find another room left vacant. You're working to the bone and give a whole lot more than taking. Got a place to call my own and can't remember why I'm staying. You know I never believed that this American dream was ever meant to be something handed to me, but now I'm all out of hope. And if we're all out of hope, well, hold on, it's by design, and that doesn't mean I think it's right. 'Cause every phase of this race I've crossed the finish line, and every smiling face I see says I'm doing fine. So why's it taking so long for me to realize that it goes round and 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 round, and I can wait right here with you. You know I never believed that this American dream was ever meant to be something handed to me, but now I'm all out of hope. And if we're all out of hope, you know I never believed that this American dream was ever meant to be something handed to me, but now I'm all out of hope. And if we're all out of hope, there's got to be something wrong with more than just me.
EW, how you doing?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Sorry, I didn't give you any warning on that. I just dropped you
No.
in.
That is totally fine. I was just trying to sort out a variety of things. So most things I'm using break at some point.
Okay.
Of course. So, you know.
So I just wanted to say, that there's a ton of people that we didn't get to talk to tonight. Phil Harris, in particular, who played drums on every single one of these songs and did a tremendous job. And then there's kind of an army of people who lent their voices to choruses. There's Anastasia who delivered some truly stunning cello performances. There's Niall Connolly, who lent his voice to Wise Man and the Fool. There's Kia Eshke, who mastered and engineered a lot of some of the more complicated recording days for us. I mean, there's truly kind of an army of people that go into making this, but none of them as important as you, E.W. Harris, being the producer, kind of guiding me through this process. You still there?
Right on.
There you go.
What was that last bit?
I was just saying thank you. That's
I lost you. Are you there?
Can you hear me?
Now I can hear you.
Yeah, I was just saying thank you. That's all.
Right on. Thank you.
So you wanna play us a couple more of your songs? You've got a lot cooking, right? So I know last year you released a partial record or
Yeah,
a
a
preview
limited
record.
edition version. Yeah, sort of like the EP version of what the record's going to end up being on Hanging Moon Records. It's so the original one was called Homunculus, and this one is called Homunculus 4. As to what happened to Homunculuses 2 and 3, 5, 7, and 13, that's, I mean, it's a subject of wide debate, and we'd eat up many, many years of close scholarship trying to determine that.
Absolutely. Do you have a sense of when Homunculus 4 is going to be out in the world? Or is that something you can
It's
say yet?
pretty difficult to say. Something that will be out pretty soon is the version of Bad Ghost that's going to be on there. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, I think a lot of us who know that song are very excited about that.
But it's we've got full on. It goes into crazy town. That's all I really want to say.
Okay.
But it's pretty cool.
All
It's
right.
pretty
Well,
cool.
well, what would you like to play us? What would you like
So-
to play us now?
I'd honestly, speaking of going off the rails, I'd honestly like to go off the rails a little bit.
Sure.
It's been very interesting. Dan mentioned something about who in the pandemic is living their best life, and maybe I am.
Did
In a
you
lot of
win?
ways, not in every way, not in every way, but certainly.
Did we lose you, EW? There you go. You're back.
Was interested in talking about. A lot of the patterns and stuff are very interesting. So and also this is also another event. It's pushed me into a lot of places I didn't think I would go, and I think that that's really cool. So I don't know what living one's best life really means, but maybe exploring new things is what it is.
And you've definitely been doing that pretty much since this began.
Well, yeah, it's like all of a sudden I have like all kinds of time and no ability to hustle without contracting a terrible disease and dying. So I can't even be held accountable for
Yeah.
slacking off or for exploring.
Right.
So
why don't we engage in one of your explorations?
I think that's a fun idea.
All right. Well, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give you a little bit of space. So you're going to have to cue me back in when you want me to talk.
Okay. Well,
All
so I took the liberty of sampling the others that played.
Oh, this is exciting. Let's see how this goes.
We will see how this goes.
Ollie.
It was beautiful.
Thank you, Ollie. Thank you, Ollie. Thank you, Ollie.
It was beautiful.
It is important to remember, though we usually find ourselves in the middle of things, that there are beginnings and there are endings to every show, and that the director of this particular time is largely unconcerned with our personal subtexts, our miniature story arcs, and those parts of our characters that are unseen but animate between the sounds, the words, and the motions that prove that they are alive.
Do you wanna rain? It's up to rain. Do you wanna take it slow? Slowly take it all away. Do you wanna rain? It's up to rain. Do you wanna take it slow? Slowly take it all away. Night air is cool. Pavement still feels hot. Pick a path through concrete. This broken parking lot. I think I remember something. I think I remember something. I think I remember something. Then it's gone. Just beyond the brown green grass, it's a place I knew before. Fall through fields of shining glass. Didn't try the door. Cut myself quite deeply. Cut myself quite deeply. Cut myself so deeply that I remember you. Oh, and the damage we have done. Oh, the damage. Oh, the damage.
damage me under. Do you wanna rise? Rise up to a ray there. Do you wanna cut me slowly? Slowly cut me away.
Thanks, Wally. It was beautiful. Thanks, Wally. It was beautiful.
That's all you want. I was exploring my origin under the sun. Cracked shell of a terrapin and beyond. Next to some powders and skeletons trapped in the vine. You're mine forever. Set on the bottom. You're mine forever. Set on the bottom. You're mine forever. found you on. I was ignoring my origin. The dim lantern light flickered, consuming my paraffin. A stuffed crocodile, the green moon seemed almost alive again. Just what am I? You're my formula. It said so about it. You're my formula. It said so about it. You're my formula. I found you on. I was debasing my origin. The cracks in the tide pressed to the flesh of my face again. What am I? Still flashing light of the blue. It seems I'm just fine. You're mine. You're mine. Formula. It said so about it. You're mine. Formula. It said so about it. You're mine. Formula. It said so about it. You're mine. Formula. You're my formula. It said so about it. You're my formula. It said so about it. You're my formula. It said so about it. You're my formula. You can talk now.
How you doing, brother?
I'm very good. How are you?
I am thrilled. So I was just saying in the comments that this is a lot like what some of our studio sessions were like, where we just start playing and you start throwing things at me and I start freaking out. But it's great. It's a great process. You challenged me so much in this whole endeavor. But we've been at this a little while.
Well,
and I want
yeah.
to give people a chance to get to bed, and I want to thank everybody for joining us. They've been we've had like nearly a dozen people all night, and I think they've been having a good time. And I want to thank all of you. I want to thank you in particular. I want to thank Dan Salpaw. I want to thank Ruby. I want to thank Chris Q. I think I might be able to get Dan and Ruby back in for just a second. Chris had to go be a dad. Hey guys, thank you so much for joining me tonight. This is a little bit what a Zoom call looks like, but it's also what it might have felt like if we were able to hang out together. And so thank you for kind of hanging out all night with me.
It was fun, buddy.
Now the car alarms are going off. I don't know if you can hear it. All right. So I'm going to play one song off the record, and then I'm going to end the stream. I'm going to bid everybody a good night. I'm asking everybody who's still watching to maybe go to my website, which is listed right here, and sign up for my mailing list. And if you haven't already, stream The Last American on Spotify or Apple Music or however you consume music on Bandcamp. You can buy it. You can buy a digital version of it on Bandcamp. At some point in the unforeseeable future, we will be able to have live shows again where we're kind of all together, and I can't wait for that moment. And when that happens, we'll do a much belated release show, and hopefully by then you all know the words to the songs and you can sing it for me. So thank you all very, very much, and have a good night. I'm just going to play this song, which is the closer off the record. This is Sophia, also known as Light in Motion in Love, off of The Last American. Y'all have a very, very good night.
When you were born, I wrote you a song to remind that what's honest can never be wrong. So if one day your heart is broken by words unspoken, it's light in motion and love. Yes, baby, it's light in motion and love. We're scattered, diffused for a moment and gone. It's the beat of my blood, the current, your heart, the ocean, it's light in motion and love. Whoa, 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 whoa. Now your mother is wise and brave, that's the goal. Your father the fool, an incorruptible soul. So if your sky should fall around you, just take what made you. It comes from stars up above. It's light in motion and love. Whoa, 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 whoa. Either I'm out of time or time's out of place. There are secrets that hide in the lines of my face. When you see what I see in the mirror, just sing the clearer and know. When you were small and so young, you saw a light in motion and love. Oh,